Protect, block, defend. Today we see him wearing the number 79, but 4 years ago, you would have seen him wearing purple and wearing the number 72. He stands 6'6" and weighs a little under 300 pounds, and his one job is protection on the offensive line.
Well, I've been playing football since I was 8. Football's been a major impact in my life over the past 12 years. High school, I played at the best in the state, Bowling Green High.
It started here. The three-star recruit began his football journey. As a purple lineman, he racked up a few honors and even a state championship his senior year. And then up next came the recruiting.
I really focused the majority of my recruiting on WKU, Louisville, and UK. I didn't decide where I was going to go. I didn't make my announcement until June of my senior year. I committed to the University of Louisville.
The support he had carried on and off the field.
My parents they impacted me on every choice that I made. My mom or my dad went with me to every game, every recruiting visit.
And every game, every decision, Joe's parents were in mind, even when it came down to transferring back home.
My mother had an illness that had been present for a little while, and I came back to help. I think everybody was supportive. I don't necessarily think that everything just rode on me. I felt it was my duty to help.
Protection of his quarterback and mom. His job as an O-lineman never stops. Reporting for The Extra Point, I'm Karen Isert. Joe is a senior on the Hill and will be graduating in winter. However, he still has one season left, so we will still be seeing the number 79 in the fall of 2016.
Now to give us some in-depth analysis, Will Puckett and Marcus Browning broke down the WKU basketball win from Tuesday night against the Colonels.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Diddle Arena. I'm Will Puckett. I'm joined by Marcus Browning, and this is the Extra Points report from the court. Now, it was a very, very eventful evening in Diddle Arena here for WKU. We'll get to the end of the game here in a little bit, but Marcus, a big win for the Hilltoppers. They didn't play necessarily well, but they didn't play bad, and they won. What did WKU do in this game to pull away with a victory?
Well, first of all, this is a huge win for WKU, due in part because this is the first time that the Colonels and Hilltoppers have met since 2007. Now, what they really did this game in order to win was just make shots. The ability to go out and on the offense and be able to go out and make the shots that they did. Aaron Cosby, 8 for 11 from behind the arch tonight. So whenever you're able to go and make shots with offensive leaders, Aaron Cosby had 26, Justin Johnson had 22. You have two guys up in the double figures, up in the 20-point range, and you're able to make those shots, you're going to have a great offensive game. And of course, this final score was 86-84. Both sides tonight were pure offense. We didn't see much defense other than EKU's press. So really, that's the ability to make shots for WKU is what pushed them tonight.
You touch on EKU's press defense. They were phenomenal there right before halftime, forcing WKU into turnover after turnover after turnover. What did the Hilltoppers do at halftime to come out in the second half and beat that EKU press?
Well, one thing that Coach Harper alluded to in the press conference was he said that you had to beat this EKU press by the pass. You couldn't dribble around this press. So every single time that we saw in the first half and they were trying to dribble around, they got the ball stolen and EKU scored easily in transition. So that's one of the things that Harper said was in halftime, he had to tell the guys, you know, you've got to pass the ball. You've got to beat them down the court, and by passing it, you're able to do it. So that's one of the things that they were able to get around that and keep the lead late.
Now, Coach Harper said that this team doesn't have a set lineup. What did you see from this WKU lineup compared to ones we've seen in the past that really gave them the upper hand in this victory?
Well, one thing that was really shocking whenever I saw this first lineup is it's very small. You have truly 3 guards with McNeil, Cosby, and then CHD coming out. And then, of course, you have Justin Johnson at the 4 and Nigel Snipes playing really at the 5. So those two are interchangeable at the 4 and 5. But this is really just a weird lineup per se. Solely because you're used to seeing Frederick Edmond out there, and Frederick Edmond being the true 3 that this team has, and then Ben Lawson not coming off and starting for at the 5, Coach Harper really said that whatever happened with this lineup, it worked, and said that the top started out 21-2 early on, and then once he made the substitutes, that's whenever things got rowdy, and that's whenever EKU bounced back and got back in this ball game. So really, this team he said that the matchups for this team is the reason why this lineup might have worked, but definitely a different lineup than what we've seen in games past. And he said that for this particular game, yes, this lineup may work, but going Saturday against Xavier, it might not work. So it's definitely going to be an interchangeable thing game in and game out.
A game of threes here in Diddle. Aaron Cosby had 8 of his own, 1 away from tying the WKU record, but the 3 that won the game was from Justin Johnson, playing a 4/5 spot most of nights. Like Marcus said, WKU has a tough test on the road Saturday at Xavier. From here in Diddle Arena, WKU comes out with an 86-84 victory over the EKU Colonels. For this edition of the Extra Points Report from the Court, this is Marcus Browning. I'm Will Puckett. Back to you, Carrie.
Although many trips to Florida are pleasant, the WKU men's basketball squad had quite the different experience. After making the trek down to Estero, Florida for the Gulf Coast Showcase, the Hilltoppers returned home over the break with a negative record in the tournament outing. The boys in white dropped their first game by 2 to Drake in overtime after a second-half drought, but rebounded in Game 2 against Central Michigan, stopping the Chippewas by nearly 30 points, which led to a 5th-place match against Duquesne. Despite Justin Johnson's strong offensive effort, after putting up 21 points, the Hilltoppers fell short, leaving them 1-2 in the tourney and just .500 on the season.
Although the Hilltoppers are having just an above-average season so far, there's one man on the team who has stepped up his game, but not only on the court. Redshirt senior Nigel Snipes has been nominated for the All-State NABC Good Works team. The NABC Good Works team recognizes players at all levels of college basketball who have made outstanding contributions in the areas of volunteerism and civil involvement. Members of the team will be invited to the 2016 Final Four in Houston, where they will take part in a community service project benefiting the city. Now, moving from the past to the future. And to put it simply, the Hilltoppers' next outing is not going to be an easy one. WK heads up to Ohio to face what could be their toughest non-conference opponent yet, the Xavier Musketeers. Xavier is currently sitting at 7-0 on the season, picking up wins against Mizzou, Michigan, Alabama, USC, and Dayton, with all of those wins coming by double figures. Xavier is also 3-0 on their home court. While WKU dropped their one and only true away game at Belmont, the Musketeers and Hilltoppers battle it out on Saturday at 7 o'clock. While the men's team has their tough challenge on Saturday, the Lady Topper Hoop Squad had a tough away venture last night at Pauley Pavilion to take on Ole Miss. Despite the game being extremely close in the early going, including 3 different occasions that the two squads were tied. Then, that was the case for the majority of the game. With the game coming down, the Lady Tops would pull within 2 on 3 separate occasions, but were not able to get it done down the stretch. Kendall Noble tallied her 3rd double-double on the season, and the Lady Tops record fell to 3-2 overall.
While the men's team went to warmer weather, the Lady Tops went to the total opposite climate as Michelle Clark Hurd and company took their Thanksgiving trip to Anchorage, Alaska. WKU's first opponent in the Big North was George Mason, and the Lady Tops picked up right where they left off from the win against Louisville as WKU pummeled George Mason 84-58, led behind Kendall Noble, who picked up her 10th career double-double. Game number 2 went similar to the first, just a little bit closer, playing against the host team Alaska Anchorage. Sophomore Ivy Brown got to work, leading the Lady Tops to a 4-point victory behind her 21-point, 14-rebound performance, bumping WKU's record to 3-1 at that time. Despite their winning ways, the Lady Tops have had to play their last 3 outings without senior guard Micah Jones and will have to do so for the remainder of the season, as she is out with a torn ACL. Jones left the game against Louisville in the middle of the first half and joined the team at midcourt after WKU pulled off the upset. Jones started both games she appeared in this season. She averaged 6 points, 3 assists, and 1 rebound in each of those games. And while will already be a busy sports weekend on the Hill, Michelle Clark Hurd and company host Austin Peay at 4 this Saturday. The Lady Commodores enter Saturday's game with a 2-7 record, while also currently riding a 6-game losing streak, with their last one coming against Middle Tennessee at home, dropping the contest by 31 points. The game was originally scheduled to tip at 2, but due to a certain football game kicking off at 11 a.m., WKU pushed the tip-off time back 2 hours to accommodate fans.
One minor correction, we apologize, they'll be taking on the Governors, not the Commodores.
That is my bad.
Later, Carrie and I will give you our conference championship game predictions.
The WKU volleyball team traveled to Texas for the Conference USA tournament, and after cruising to the first 2 wins, the final game was set. Our ladies met number 2 seeded and host UTSA at the net. The first 2 sets were a breeze. The Tops took that 25-17 and then 25-19. WKU dropped the third set 20-25, but within the fourth set, the Tops came back 25-21 to claim their second consecutive CUSA title. As if the win wasn't enough, Noelle Langenkamp, Haley Bodway, Alyssa Kavanaugh, and Sydney Engel finished with double-digit kills, and Engel had her first double-double of 15 kills and 10 digs. WKU had a big weekend, but a bigger one is around the corner. The Lady Toppers will be headed back across the country to Utah for the first round of the NCAA tournament, where they will face Arizona. This will be the first ever matchup with the 19-13 Wildcats. The Tops are riding an 8-match win streak that includes both a regular season and, as we just said, a tournament championship. Travis Hudson's squad has earned a bid to the tournament 5 out of the last 6 years. The match begins at 6 p.m.
Each week we give you a little something that drops our jaws. Only this week, it's more of an embarrassment of the week. Stick around and you'll see just who was embarrassed. When it comes to the postseason, Bowling Green head coach Kevin Wallace and his staff know how to get things done. And last Friday, while most people were recovering from a hectic day of finding sales, the Purples were getting a win. This time over Fern Creek. The Tigers couldn't find a way to quarterback Clark Payne as he threw for 202 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Purples ended Fern Creek's season 21-0. And with that victory, it places the Purples in their 4th championship game in the past 5 seasons, and they meet the Pulaski County Maroons, who trumped Highlands 41-31 in their semi-state matchup. The Purples and Maroons met 2 years ago as Bowling Green stole the win in their 3rd consecutive state championship. But this appearance from Pulaski also marks their 3rd consecutive state title game in as many years. Last year, the school earned their 1st state title, and both teams are a powerhouse clash on the gridiron for one final time this season, this Saturday at 8.
The mantra for South Warren's season has been state championship or bust. The Spartans took one more step towards that goal on Friday against from Shelby County. Okay. South Warren brushed aside Shelby County 36-6 to pave their way to the Houch. QB Ryder Litton threw for 2 touchdowns and ran for 3 more. Sparty will play Sunday at LT Smith Stadium for the 4A state championship. And who will the Spartans play on Sunday? The 12-1 Golden Eagles. The Golden Eagles will look to their 1,000-yard passer, Bryce Workman, and their 1,000-yard rusher, Connor Ratliff, to spoil the poetic ending to a perfect South Warren season. The Spartans started their season at the Houch against John Hardin and the Rafferty's Bowl, and now look to end it, hoisting a 4A state championship trophy. Kickoff is set for 7 o'clock on Sunday.
Now, this time we usually go to a play or something in the sports world that really drops our jaw. However, this week, I was kind of embarrassed. Let's go ahead and take this clip and we'll talk more about it afterwards.
Who else would you have liked to have shoot? I mean, I'm just asking you to help me.
All right, let's bust out of this. Back to me. Okay, now that was Jeff Walls, the Lady Cardinals head basketball coach, and they came into Diddle Arena, lost to WKU. They were ranked 16 in the nation at the time. He was not happy. I'd asked him, did he feel like their best player at any time had been taking too many shots? And he said, and that was his reaction, she was 8 from 20 from the field, which really is a 40%, but on a stat sheet, it's pretty ugly. Mm-hmm. Now, before we go ahead and end the show, conference championship game. Carrie, give me a quick prediction, Tops win or lose.
They win. The conference hasn't been tough for them this season, so.
I totally agree with you. I think the offense is going to come out and show out. They're going to have to play very well, but bigger than that, defense is going to have to stop Southern Miss's offense, and that's something that this team's been really well doing this year. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have for you.
Another semester down, and hopefully a few more championships to boast.
Well, for now, we have to say adieu. And as always, it's up, and it's good.